Hey everyone, this is Chinmay, and in this video, I'm just going to introduce you our Golang Bootcamp course for 1 month in upcoming days, and I just want to start this course as soon as possible. So, in this video, I'm just going to briefly introduce this, like what are we going to build in this 1 month course live. All the classes, all the sessions will be live in a month. There will be 16 sessions in total, each of 1 hour or roughly 1 hour and 10 minutes. And in these 16 sessions I will be coding live with you, or I'll be bringing up my ready to run code, and then I'll be explaining that to you. And roughly I will be explaining these objectives to you one by one in this whole course, because I want you to learn how to write a Golang, or how to understand, or how to think a Golang backend service, specifically with gRPC. I know nowadays you can use AI and you can write the entire backend, but still there is a lot to learn, or at least you should be knowing the fundamentals and basics of things, how they works. Unless you don't understand them, you are not able to write any code by yourself using AI. Even if you can, that will not sustain at all. So with that objective, I'm just starting this thing. So here's the course overview. Welcome to preparation phase of our bootcamp. Basically, first module, what in this whole project, we're just going to keep HTTP REST API aside, and we're going to write gRPC microservice. Okay, we are taking user profile as an example, and to run the project locally, we'll be using Kubernetes KDS, a local cluster, not a Docker. And why suddenly I'm doing this? I'm just doing this to let you understand that running your project or your service locally using Kubernetes gives you confidence to deploy your app in production using Kubernetes without any errors. If you are able to deploy your app locally, then chances are very high that you will be able to deploy your app in production using Kubernetes without any problem. So with that objective, I run all my services using Kubernetes, not the Docker. Of course, I use Docker, and we will be using Docker, but just to run the local instances of databases like PostgreSQL and the Redis. Make sense? We will be writing gRPC server, a gRPC and Golang code, and we will be writing and understanding protobuf. Protobuf is a format to write the definitions or the detail of the data interchange you do between the client and server, or service to service, because API call is nothing but a way to exchange the data, and this protobuf are the definition of those data types or data. Significantly, we will be having a clean architecture like separation of concern. So we will be separate everything, starting from the handler, service, repository. In more technical way, you can say transport, and logic, and the data layers, and then infrastructure layer, and the logging layer, and the foundational layer, and the business layer, and everything. Then we will be having a advanced configuration, which will be loading your configuration based on your .yml file, based on your current running environment. So we will be creating at least 2 environments. One will be local and the other will be dev, or the staging, you can say. So I'd like to set up my configuration file in such a way that it can load and override the secrets from the environment. So what happens when you load your configuration? It just load all the values from .yml file, but then it just override the secrets coming from the Kubernetes secrets, like the environment. Locally, what we do, we just write or set up those environments in .env file, and then we fetch them from there and then replace or the overrides in the configuration with the values written from the .yml. It's a very production and clean way to set up your configuration. So we'll be learning how to do that. Then we'll try to do the structured logging. We'll try to implement the Uber Zap logging package, which is blazingly fast for the loggings, because logging can make your server slow. So we'll take care of that. Then we'll be doing a hybrid infrastructure, which means that we'll be running our services under the local cluster with the KTS configuration, but we will be running our databases using Docker instances locally, and then we will be trying to make a connection between your locally running databases and your cluster. That's easy. The tech stack and the architecture is very simple. The Golang, the gRPC, PostgreSQL, and the Redis for the caching, and the Kubernetes and the .yml. And here is our project structure, which we will be trying to follow. This is just as a sample from my another project, but this is what exactly we are going to use for the project structure, but not this project exactly. So we will be having an app folder, then a business folder, then a foundation folder, then a KTS folder, then XAF folder. Okay, so that's how we are going to organize, and then we are going to organize our services and tooling, and then core business area, then data related to business area, and then foundation. We'll be having a bootstrapping our server, the setting up configuration, the setting up database settings, and setting up logger. And in the XAF, we are going to have all the infrastructure layer, like all the external things, infrastructure, Docker, deployment, and of course testing. So this is going to be a 1 month Golang bootcamp where I will be teaching you specifically for the Golang. About me, I am working with Golang since like more than almost 3 years, and I have written a highly scalable services in Golang, and even now in my day-to-day life, almost daily, I write a lot of code in Golang and build a highly scalable microservice with the clean code and clean architecture on a microservice architecture using Postgres database, circuit breaker, rate limiter, or like you can say go routine and channels and gRPC servers, like whatever you name in backend, I have an experience on that. So yeah, let's learn together. And this course will be starting as soon as I get at least 5 to 6 enrollments. So contact me as soon as possible. If you are interested, you can contact me, or you can reach me using my WhatsApp number and my email address, which you can find in the description. Yep, see you there. Thank you.